Welcome to Think Big with Dan and Qasim. Join hosts Dan Melnick and Qasim Masood as they explore big ideas, limitless possibilities, and engage with visionaries, entrepreneurs, and thought leaders who dare to dream big, get inspired, motivated, and find practical tips for personal growth. Think big, dream bigger, and ignite your potential.
All right, welcome to Think Big with Dan and Qasim, and our guest today is Liang. So Liang, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, tell us what you do and where you live.
Hi. Okay, my name is Liang. I currently live in Austin. I just moved to the States last year from China. I have been running a bakery business in China for 14 years. Before bakery business, I was a management consultant at McKinsey. So it was quite a career change for me, moving from a management consulting industry to a baked goods industry. Ever since we started the business, we expanded from Beijing to Shanghai, and to a few more Chinese cities. And at the beginning of the pandemic, we were already a 400 people team in China. And really, thanks to the pandemic, my business partner and I decided to come to the States, partially because my business partner is from the States. He came back to the States during pandemic, and it was really difficult for international traveling. So, so he was kind of stuck here, and he thought, okay, why don't we start something here? We clearly can bring some like Asian inspired dessert to the US market. So then I thought that was like a crazy idea, because I thought expanding business from Beijing to Shanghai was already a big challenge for us, because the culture is different from between two cities, and not to mention expanding a business from China to the States. That seems like impossible for me. Because although I have like experiences working in different countries while I was working for McKinsey, I've never studied abroad for like a long time. Definitely like making the decision to come to the States to start the business has been the biggest challenge so far for myself in my life. But I'm really happy I made the decision, and I have been really enjoying this brand new startup life in Austin. So last year, while we were searching for a kitchen to make our chocolate and pastries, we found a commissary kitchen in South Austin. So we decided to acquire that kitchen. And so right now we are running a commissary kitchen business together with our craft chocolate and dessert business. And we will set up a food trailer in South Austin maybe next week. So it's coming very soon.
That's really exciting. So what made you want to go from consulting into starting a bakery business?
Yeah, everyone asked me that question. Well, apparently I always loved baked goods. I think when I first started the business, I really loved eating the baked goods, but now I more enjoy like making them, because I'm eating them every day. Actually what really inspired me to change my career from a management consultant to an entrepreneur was my experience in 2008. I worked as a volunteer in the Sichuan province in China after the big earthquake. So there was a deadly earthquake which killed 110,000 population in Sichuan that year. So I was still with McKinsey at that time, and McKinsey had sent a pro bono team to Sichuan to work with the local government to help with the post-earthquake reconstruction. When we were there, one of the projects was to help the local government to estimate the GDP loss. It sounds like it was a crazy task, because we need to go door by door to visit those companies to understand their loss. Basically to ask the company owners how many people died, how much revenue loss would you expect from this earthquake, when do you think you can go back to productions. I thought that would be a really tough conversation because basically you are asking people the saddest part of their life. But to my surprise, I've interviewed maybe over 30 entrepreneurs in Sichuan province. And every entrepreneur I visited, they're like, nobody is at home or out of work. Everyone is still in their company. Maybe they're just sitting in the garage or sitting under the sun, setting up some very basic computers, like using their phone for internet connections, and talking to their clients, taking care of their employees. So I was really moved by their entrepreneurship. So they just, to my understanding, entrepreneurship is just to find the opportunity, try their best to find opportunities to survive, not only for themselves, but for their entire team, for the business. So I was really inspired because before this earthquake, like pro bono volunteering work, my dream was to work in the nonprofit world to solve the social problems. But then at this earthquake, during the earthquake, I realized what can really help people is to provide job opportunities, to help people have better skills, to have the ability to raise their family, rather than just donating some money to give to the poor. So I think running a business is probably what I can do the best to the society. And to run a business, I know it must be very challenging. So I have to find something that I have passion for. So therefore, as a management consultant, our skills were mostly PowerPoint and Excel. And my college background was like biological sciences. So like none of these can give me a seemingly like prospect of what I could do. So I decided to start from something that I have passion about, and it won't require a lot of like startup fund. So my business partner and I, we bootstrapped the business, just using our savings from our previous career. And we started the business in a very tiny studio in Beijing, and gradually from a 2 people team, gradually expanded to now almost 500 people in China. So yeah, we still grew a lot during the pandemic.
That's
So
good. Awesome. By the way, I'm in the neighborhood of China, so I'm pretty much familiar with the Chinese because I know how hardworking they are and how they are proactive. So yeah.
yeah, I have to say in China, one of the biggest difference between running a business in China and in the US is about your anticipations about people's working hours. In China, everyone wants to work longer hours to make more money. So work-life balance came way after making a good fortune to buy your family a new home, to save enough money for retirement. Yeah, just to try to make as much money as possible. It's funny. Yesterday, I had an HR meeting with my China team, and we talked about retirement. So there are employees who have been working with us for over 10 years, and they have reached the age to go retired. But we still want to keep them in the team, but we may need to have them work like shorter working hours for their health. As also like it's part of the requirement from the Chinese labor law. But it has been a very difficult conversation because everyone wants to work as long hours as they were years ago. So, but here, like I feel people here really care more about work-life balance and working like 80 hours a week is considered not right. Yeah. So I'm also like trying to adjust myself, like adjust my anticipations and also like get used to the pace here. Yeah, that's something I'm learning, but I think it's also good. Like working shorter hours can also mean working more efficient.
So, how technology is helping you in your business and in your daily life?
Sorry, could you please repeat that
How
question?
how technology is helping you in your business and in your daily life?
I would say we are really like a technology empowered company. So my business partner, so his background was computer science. So none of us is a baker. So I'm really strong in like analytical skills, and he's really good at like software engineering. So I think from day one, we would say like making dessert is like half art, half science. And so we have been using like a lot of like technology tools to help the business to run more efficiently. So in China, we deliver our cakes to our consumers. In the first 5 years, we didn't have physical stores. We were like online only. So we promise customer we can deliver things within 3 hours of them placing the order, and the delivery window was 30 minutes. So we really use a lot of algorithm to calculate to plan out the best route. And there's a lot of things to be considered to put in that to make sure our staff is not overworked and cakes can be safely delivered within a reasonable amount of time. And also because we all use like electric scooters to deliver the pastries, we also like need to consider like whether like the amount of time the battery can last, as well as like the maximum numbers of cakes one person can take. And ever since we started to have like physical stores, we also use a lot of algorithm to calculate like how much inventories every store needs to have, because all of our products have really short shelf life, like 24 to 48 hours. And if we cannot sell them out, we have to throw a lot of cakes away. And we have a lot of SKUs, like over 200 SKUs. So we really need to have, we input a lot of things into our system to have it provide a recommended demand forecast for each store. And store manager will use that forecast to decide how many products of each kind they should order. So these are just like a few examples, and we actually build our own ERP system and also our accounting system, so that we have all the data in-house, and it's also safer for our customer profile. And right now we are thinking to so it's really good. Like we in the States, we can really use a lot of old recipes and to trace a lot of like data in the system to see what we can do here, because we're actually borrowing a lot of like initial products we were making in China, which is like relatively simple to make to start in the US market.
Yes.
And we have all the like labor data in the system, and we can see like which products, so the difficult levels of different pastries, so we can select the ones that uses less labor to start with, because like labor cost is also significantly different here from China. So just a few examples of technology.
Indeed, that's cool. So, are you guys using AI, or do you have some vision to go towards the AI, implement AI in your business, or how you are, if you are using AI, how you are using AI?
Yeah, we have been using AI for a long time. I have to say, maybe some of the algorithm is also like can also be called as AI. because it needs to learn so like when we do the logistic, like how to dispatch orders for different delivery staff, we will feed the system with like how our logistic managers manually dispatch orders, and they will learn their pattern. And we are still like, until today, we're still comparing the human way and the computer, the AI way. And the machine needs to learn from what the person is actually doing, because not all the logic can cover the way they decide who to give more orders or less orders. And also we actually once we fed our system a lot of pictures of cakes, so that when we sent the cake, because we take pictures of every single cake we make, and we try to teach the machine which are the good ones, which are not so good ones, because we have quite complicated patterns.
Nice.
So yeah, and we actually work with a machine learning scientist, a French guy living in Hong Kong. We dedicated him to do this freelance job, to work on this machine learning project. So he was like having the machine to read a lot of our cake pictures, to try to see if we can delegate part of the QC work to the computer, because our old way was to have someone standing there to look at the cakes one by one, and there will always be fights, because this person thinks, okay, this cake looks good enough, and the other person thinks, no, this cake cannot go to the consumer, because it's all like handmade. So there must be some errors, and to what extent the errors can be allowed need a better judge, so that we don't have a lot of fights in our team. Yeah, and these days, so ever since like OpenAI is getting popular, and also ChatGPT, we have been using ChatGPT to help our IT team to do code transitions, because when we first started to build our own system, we used the language Ruby on Rails. And the language was popular in China in the early 2010s. But these days, there are more and more like JavaScript people on the market, or like Java. So it's very hard for us to hire engineers who can code in Ruby on Rails. So so we need to translate the code base. And like our code base is like over 1 million lines, so it's impossible to use human beings to do that translation work. So ChatGPT helped a lot. And also we will use like Midjourney or DALL-E to generate some concept for cake designs, or for like a model for like packaging design. Just to get an idea. I mean, these things are not directly usable, but it gave our designer team a lot of inspirations, and that really enhanced the efficiency significantly.
So what is your top priority in the next 3 to 6 months? Like you mentioned, obviously in a week you're going to have this new food truck, but I just, in terms of getting the word out, or what does that look like in terms of top priorities for you?
Top priorities for me, I think top 3 things. First is to get people. I think people is always the top priority for a business. We need to get the US team bigger, to find people that share our value, who's also like passionate in the craft chocolate and pastry business, who want to grow with us. People is number 1. And secondly is to keep the China business grow steadily, because that's very important for the cash flow. So because for the US side, we are still at the investing phase, we need to spend a lot of money. So we need to make sure the Chinese business can grow healthily, with like less of my time managing the team. So I would say, yeah, and keep the China business grow also, like people is very important. So we have been like really setting up the right team structures to make sure that everyone is well motivated, and they can work well without the founders in China. I think if we want to say the third priority is really for my like personal side, because among all the business challenges, my dad was diagnosed with cancer in June. So that really changed my personal schedule a lot. So I have been traveling between China and the States like maybe every 3 weeks. So I spent 3 weeks in China, and then 3 to 4 weeks in the States. So really like taking care of my parents have become have raised to like one of my top priorities. Because I think among everything, I think something is like for business growing, like you can wait, but for families, there's like the time cannot reverse. So these are my top priorities, but I'm very happy. So my dad the chemotherapy has been effective, and I'm trying to get them visa to the States because they haven't visited the US for a long time, and have been sending them pictures of the new food trailer, our new website, our kitchen. So I want to make the US business also a little like hope for my dad, so that he can be empowered to get better quickly, so that he can visit me in the States.
Awesome. So what is the one biggest piece of advice that you wish you knew before you started being an entrepreneur?
That's a hard question. Well, let me share a piece of advice that I think that's really valuable before I started the business, which is to start as early as possible. You don't have to get ready, or you don't have to wait until you're ready, because you're never ready. I remember during the last year, when I was at McKinsey, I worked 4 years at McKinsey. I was deciding if I should go to business school, if I should join a venture capital firm, or if I should go do like social enterprise. And one of my mentors told me, if you want to start your own business, start as early as possible, because $100 to a 26 years old is very different than like to a 35 years old. Your lifestyle, you can like starting a business requires you to have a pretty tough lifestyle at the early days. So if you're used to like sleeping in 5-star hotels, taking business class, then you can hardly start a business or bootstrapping a business. So I really appreciated that advice, and I'm glad I started like when I was 26, and I did live a very like pretty like frugal life. So like nowadays, when I restarted everything in the States, I drive a pickup truck everywhere. Like I have to lift heavy things myself from time to time, or clean the dumpster myself. But I'm okay with everything, because I've experienced that in my 20s, and I have been through like starting factories, new stores in China in my 30s. So I'm used to a tough life. So restarting everything now this year I'm 40, in my early 40s, I don't feel too bad. So I think starting early is definitely a good advice.
That's great. So do you mind sharing your website, or how somebody can find your company on social media?
Sure. Well, thanks for the opportunity. Our US website is currently under the brand name of our craft chocolate brand, Kessho. So it's www.kessho.com. So Kessho is actually a Japanese word meaning crystal. So it pays tribute to the crystallized structure of chocolate. It also means fruit from hard work in Japanese.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time today. It was great chatting with you, and wishing you the best of luck. And next week, as you guys open that new food truck. So
Yeah. You can
Yeah.
also follow us at Kessho Cacao on Instagram.
awesome. Will do. Thank you so
Perfect.
much.
Okay, thank you,
Thank you.
Dan
All
and
right,
Qasim.
thanks. All right,
Bye-bye.
bye.
Bye.